Hello and welcome to Vertical Team Conversation Time during in-service. Um, the first thing I want to do is talk a little bit about what the purpose of vertical teams are and some of the tasks that we're going to do during vertical team time and give you a little bit of a bigger picture of what's going to be accomplished. The vertical teams are really designed to help us articulate our curriculum K-12, make sure there's not as many gaps and overlaps, and ultimately we're going to use this time to analyze student data and determine how that impacts all of our curricular time. The thing that I think is most important for everyone to realize is that this time is really about making sure that we thoroughly understand our standards, understand what our curriculum is asking us to do, and that we recognize that really this is about us becoming an expert in that room that you're sitting in with those colleagues that you're with right now. The question I get frequently is well, why can't district office, or why can't somebody just tell us what the curriculum needs to be? And the simple answer is that you probably don't want me or one specific person determining exactly what the curriculum is, because in the end, the people that you're sitting with right now are far more expert at the area and curricular decisions that need to be made than anybody else that we have in this district or that there is around the state. So we're really drawing upon your expertise to determine what is the curriculum that we want. I don't have the specific expertise to say what the content of a 6th grade math class should be, or a 6th grade art class should look like. But you really do have that expertise, and so we want to draw upon that expertise. And I want you to recognize that the group that you're sitting with right now really has the power to make some curricular decisions. The only thing that would really supersede these decisions are any type of data that refutes or disputes what it is that we're currently doing and suggests that maybe we need to make some other considerations in our curricular paths. From my perspective, my goal often is really to work with groups of teachers to help facilitate this process. Otherwise, really looking at, okay, well, what's the procedural part of teaching? What does good teaching look like? That's really the focus of any type of an administrative role, is we can often tell you whether the students are engaged and how you might want to design your class to increase student achievement through a variety of different methods, but we aren't necessarily the experts of this is the content that needs to be addressed. It really does come down to the expertise that you've been trained in to help guide those discussions. So long term, when we're looking at data will help us make decisions of changes. But at this point, your professional expertise determines what's in something like Build Your Own Curriculum. And then that leads us to, well, what are the content and the expectations of each course and goal, the goals of each course. An administrator would not be able to help determine whether you're meeting those expectations of the course unless they're able to find them and Build Your Own Curriculum. So as we continue to make adjustments and make curriculum changes, the things that are in Build Your Own Curriculum really are the expectation of the district. So as we make changes in Build Your Own Curriculum, it really comes down to a simple majority, really. If the majority of people feel that this is the scope and sequence that we need, this is the content or the skill that needs to be taught, especially based on the data that we have, then that's going to be the district expectation. So what we find in Build Your Own Curriculum will be the content that we will expect to see in a course. So we need to continue making updates to Build Your Own Curriculum and looking at that overall. So with that said, the purpose of the session today is really to make sure that we understand and become the expert of those standards documents that pertain to our particular grade level and or band of grade levels and subject matter. So you've been provided documents that the goal here today is for you to take time to really digest what those documents say, taking a look at what does this mean for my curricular area. So depending on what you're looking at, you might have the Common Core standards, you might have the literacy for all standards that come out of the English Language Arts standards. You might have things like the brand new Next Generation Science Standards. This is the second draft. There'll be a final draft released after the input is put in. So this is the second public draft. So you're going to need to take a lot of time to figure that out if you're in science. Or in other subject areas, if you're looking for ways to integrate disciplinary literacy, you could go to the DPI website on disciplinary literacy and find resources specific to each subject area. So the goal for today is to take time and really understand and become the local expert at the standards in the courses and grade levels that you're meeting in now. Over time, these groups will continue to meet as a vertical team, but we'll also bring the information back to our horizontal grade level department time. So if we're in a group here as a vertical team and we've found some data or we found some holes or some things that it seems like we're teaching way too often, we're teaching every year and we didn't realize we're repeating so much, the vertical team is really going to make a suggestion as to what this looks like, and then they're going to bring that back to their grade level or department team to kind of bounce some ideas off of. And it's going to take a little bit of back and forth to iron all of those details out, but in the end, whatever gets documented through Build Your Own Curriculum is going to be the expectation of the curriculum, of the teaching content and the skills that students are expected to know and be able to do. If you happen to get far enough after reading, there are a couple other tasks that can be taken care of. Some of those tasks we spent more time in the last in-service. I really intended for it to be more of a reading and understanding the documents. I don't think I did a good enough job emphasizing that, so I really want to make sure that you take the time and you really understand what those documents say and what the implications of those documents are. So that should be the majority of the time today. If you've made it through all of those documents and you've started to have conversations with your colleagues about what are these implications, keep in mind, how does that impact our top 5? So for example, if I pick a course here like second grade science, for example, and we've got the top 5 expectations. These top 5 expectations, remember, are really our expectations for what the students must be able to do by the end of the school year. Some people are inclined to say, well, they should just be the standards or the Common Core expectations. There's a couple of problems with that. The first being that the research says that there should really be 3 to 7 things that you focus on for the entire school year. So I've picked the number 5. 5 is not exact. It could be 4. It could be 7. It really needs to represent what are the big ideas that must be taught and understood by students by the end of the school year. So We don't want it to turn into a big long checklist, which sometimes with too many standards, that's what it does. Sometimes those standards are partial knowledge pieces. They're things that lead into other things that are expected in the course. So they might be able to be combined together. In that case, those standards should be found somewhere in one of the units. That would be part of the student learning objectives. Those are the things that they must be able to do. They're things that we want to clearly identify, but they might not be a top 5 expectation. We also want to think about our top 5. Often the standards those are the things that get tested on the state test. That is not all inclusive of everything we want to accomplish in our district that we think are valuable and important for students to know and be able to do. So we really need to consider, what does that top 5 look like? That's really just kind of the directional aim of where we're going, and a very simple overview of, by the end of the year, I know my students in this course need to be able to do this. And it doesn't necessarily indicate every skill that they have. That's the stuff we can find embedded within the curriculum in each of our units. We're really looking for much more of an overview of what needs to be accomplished. So those are the places where we start to go forward, where we compare what have we read to our top 5 expectations, like was happening in the last in-service, and then starting to get our student learning objectives inside of the units and throughout the course, and make sure that they're clearly identifiable. But as I said, the main purpose of this day is to make you the local expert, to make and empower you to understand the curriculum and to make those curricular choices. We're really focusing on the content and the skills necessary to be successful. And those are the things that your expertise allows us to understand. So please make sure you take plenty of time to read the standards documents that are in front of you, and then begin those conversations of does this require us to change our approach? Does it require us to change our content? And what should the focus of our courses be? So I hope you enjoy reading these documents and find some things in there that maybe you haven't considered recently or ever before, and really find a way to help increase the achievement and the knowledge that all of our students have throughout their schooling here in our district. Thank you, and have a great day.